ever since the American public began to understand the scope of U.S. drone operations abroad, we've begun questioning how often these UAVs are used, who they target, and where they operate. Now, up until this point, there have been more questions than answers. We've essentially been forced to take the Obama administration at its word, particularly when it comes to who these drones target. Here's how President Obama explained U.S. targets back in September.
It has to be a threat that is serious and not speculative. It has to be a situation in which we can't capture the individual before they move forward on some sort of operational plot against the United States.
But copies of these top-secret U.S. intelligence reports actually were obtained by McClatchy newspaper, discovered that the scope of the drone targets is much larger than top al-Qaeda officials. It includes low-level members as well. And a New York Times article over this weekend said that the first U.S. drone strike in Pakistan was not an attack on al-Qaeda, but instead it was meant to kill an enemy of the Pakistani government in exchange for access to its airspace. To break this story down and give us some more perspective, I'm joined now by Stephen Miles. He's a coalition coordinator for Win Without War. Stephen, thank you so much for joining me. Now, the Obama administration said that these attacks would only happen with specific targets on al-Qaeda leaders, as I had mentioned. So how are they justifying these low-level attacks, or are they?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing to highlight is that these reports absolutely indicate, they confirm what a lot of us have long suspected, that these attacks are not, in fact, limited to only senior al-Qaeda operatives. And it once again does highlight the need for full accounting, full public transparency of the program. The American public really does have a right and deserve to know what our government's doing in our name, exactly who we're going after, and exactly what this program entails.
And it's not necessarily the fact that they are using drones. It's the fact that they are killing these people that we are not necessarily at war with. They're going after the Haqqani network, which has never actually posed an imminent threat to the U.S. interests other than Pakistan. So how is the killing justified in terms of these low-level people? First of all, how are we finding them? Do we have that information?
Well, I think the short answer is no, we don't have that information. It's a very complicated issue. Obviously, the U.S. is at war in Afghanistan, and we have tens of thousands of troops there, and presumably some of these attacks are related to that. But ostensibly, a number of these attacks, as you showed that clip of the president, are also related to this larger issue of al-Qaeda and al-Qaeda operatives. And now, again, we're finding out that a lot of these attacks have to do with Pakistani Taliban, and we have questions about even who else might be involved. But the fundamental answers lie in secret government documents that we haven't yet seen, and that's about time that the administration releases publicly.
And as I was mentioning, the Haqqani network, among others. Now, the Obama administration has come out numerous times and says, we are targeting al-Qaeda, and we are targeting, specifically when we say al-Qaeda affiliates, the one place that they've actually said was the Afghanistan Taliban, but beyond that, we don't really know. So who is defining the enemies at this point?
Again, we don't fully know. You know, the president himself in his State of the Union said, you shouldn't have to take my word for it. We should have a full public accounting of this. And to date, we haven't had that. The administration has shared some of its information with some members of Congress. It has not shared all of its information with any members of Congress, and it hasn't shared even less with the American public. It's about time we had a full accounting of that, and that will allow us to answer some of these questions and allow us to have the strategic debate that we need to begin to have as well about what are we doing and is it actually making us safer?
Sure. And there's no code of conduct up until this point for how drones should be used. As I mentioned, we kind of have to take the Obama administration at their word, but they're attacking in countries like Pakistan and now in northern Africa. The administration, as well as CIA Director John Brennan, have said different things in regards to these public strikes. Should we be surprised that they're attacking these low-level people, since we don't know the scope of the drones? The only way that we know the scope of the drones is with these leaks.
That's right. I mean, it's a little troubling that what information we've gotten, whether it was the white paper that was out previously that we've talked about, or it's these memos that now have come out through McClatchy, it's all been information that has not been publicly released by the administration. It's hard to know, it's impossible to know the scope of the program. And it's in fact impossible to know what's being done by the CIA, what's being done by our military and elements like JSOC within the military. We simply don't know. We can't have a full debate about the merits of the program. We can't have a rational debate about the strategic implications of this. And the American public has a right to partake in that debate. These things are being done in our name. And the only way that's going to happen is with a full public accounting.
Now, one of the groups that has been fighting for more drone transparency is obviously lawmakers. Because of the public outcry, the lawmakers are actually outcrying. But Senator Committee Chairwoman, Senate Intelligence Committee Chairwoman Dianne Feinstein actually said that her group is given all these details shortly after the drone attacks actually happened. But is that too late to actually make your opinion up about any of them?
Well, it's not even a full answer as well, because Senator Feinstein may be given all the CIA drone strike information that wouldn't necessarily entail the drone strikes done by other parts of our government. And one of the things that we don't know is how much other footage out there, how much footage, led up to the drone strike, for example. If the drone has been there for 24 hours recording and the Intelligence Committee only sees the 5 minutes around the drone strike, that's 5 minutes is out of context, and we don't necessarily know the totality. The one thing, Senator Feinstein and others are very interested in this. They're trying to do oversight, but their ability to do full oversight is never going to be possible unless the administration is fully open with what it does, not just with Congress, but with the American public.
All right. Stephen Miles, Coalition Coordinator with Win Without War. Thank you so much for your opinions.
Thanks for having me.